So at one point, I was working for a facility that had been acquired by a national veterinary hospital chain. And I started there after it had been acquired. It's actually where I met my wife. And she had worked there prior to it being acquired, if I'm not mistaken. But in any event, one of the benefits was one of the benefits for employment there was that we received discounted care on veterinary services. So I had taken my dog Sammy to an examination, and I cannot remember what for at this point. But Sammy was a shepherd mix. He was some kind of shepherd mix. He tended to be like pretty protective of me and like anybody that um, came to like would come to live in the household with him. Anybody that was like as central or insular like to him, and in such a manner. So could be protective. He was pretty leery of strangers. It would take him like 6 or 7 times before he would really kind of like acclimate to a new person. In his case, the best way to become his ally was like we would go on a walk with that person, and then they would just walk with us like parallel, and then I actually would hand Sammy off to that person like very inconspicuously, and they would just walk together, and then like at that point he was their dog. I can't advocate for that technique for every dog. For him in his specific case, that worked really well, as opposed to trying to like do like greetings in the home or greetings in the backyard or the front yard or whatever. Okay. But he had exhibited he would exhibit reactive behavior, and he did have a history of some pre-bites and some near bites. So like I had him at college with me, which was like definitely not the wisest decision, especially with like my history of drinking in college. And so like I did some pretty risky things with him. Like my friends would have to like bring me home, like when I got carried away, like you know, on a night out. And that's a really irresponsible thing to do. It's a really like uncool thing to put on somebody else, especially like and especially when you have a dog that will potentially put teeth on somebody that's entering the home, that's trying to make sure you get home safe. Okay, so it's been almost 9 years since I've had a drink. So in those days I was being really irresponsible. Even within a short period of time out of college, like I learned a lot of things about safeguarding and caretaking dogs, and basically situations that I would not put Sammy in, like that I had in the past, like that I would come to never dream of ever putting him in a situation like that or similar ever again. So flash forward to like taking him to be examined by someone with this clinic, and I don't remember why the technician had the leash. Like the technician had his leash while the veterinarian was examining him, and Sammy had growled while the doctor was examining him and doing some kind of protocol. And I'm sure like it was just like a default reaction, I guess, like an automatic reaction. The vet tech popped his leash to administer like a leash correction. And I had to ask her to not do that. And I don't think that anybody else in the room was going to advise against it. But when you're caring for a dog and you're examining a dog, like you really need their cooperation and their trust. That's a really irresponsible thing to do. It's not going to build the kind of rapport that you need when you when you do such a thing to an animal, when you reprimand and suppress and punish their efforts to communicate, to say, hey, like, you're making me uncomfortable, please stop, or like modify what you're doing, or else. Okay, it's not like, don't do that, like, don't you dare growl, because what Ian Dunbar says is, when you do this, when you punish a growl, when you reprimand a growl, it's like taking the it's making a ticking time bomb without the tick. So you're taking the tick away from a ticking time bomb. So yeah, I had to step in and say, hey, please don't do that. And like, it's kind of surprising to me how few vets like will, how many vets are comfortable being complicit with alpha and traditional and aversive training techniques. So really need a lot of people that are, you know, in the medical field to advocate for the humane treatment and humane methodologies, and, you know, not be complicit or just avoid like those conversations, to be the best advocate they can be, like, holistically, like, all around. So yeah, I mean, definitely it can break trust, like, and, you know, the other thing is, the dog can like turn around and bite you. The dog can turn around and bite you. Like, your leash correction can mean nothing, like, potentially to a dog. A dog is a creature that can render a, a an extraordinary amount of damage to you, if they're compelled to do so. And it's a really good way to compel a dog to do so, by yanking on their neck. You know, so anyway, that's my thought as I close out the evening. Thanks for listening.